Yes! Welcome to the stream. How are we all doing? Now then, we're going to be talking about as much transfer news as we can today, including newer stuff. But also some stuff that dropped yesterday. David Ornstein has been out. He's been talking about certain names, and we're going to have a look at these players, see what we think to them, see whether we think they're the right guy to go for. But first of all, let's open Twitter and go to City Extra and see what they have to say on it, see what their take is. So, here we go. We'll start right here. Let's fly straight in. And so we wanna find wherever this is. Here we go. So, breaking Nottingham Forest, Morgan Gibbs-White and Bayer Leverkusen's Florian Wirtz are among the options Man City will consider to replace Kevin De Bruyne in the summer. Now then, good thing is, if it wasn't obvious enough, we're obviously going to try and replace Kevin De Bruyne. Okay, it doesn't look like the club is trying to not do that. Okay, I think they can obviously see that De Bruyne leaves a big hole in this team, and so they're trying to fill it. Okay, because there have been some cases where we don't fill it because, where we try and make do. But it looks like De Bruyne is being deemed worthy of coming in. Now then, I've spoken about Florian Wirtz more than I can count on this channel. But I haven't spoken a lot about Morgan Gibbs-White. And my main reason for that is that because I never deemed him a good enough option. Now, he's on 5 goals, 9 assists with Forest this season. By no means bad numbers, pretty respectable. And he's also a very crucial player for this Forest side. Their captain, it seems like, for most games. And yeah, he's an absolutely crucial player for them in this special season that they're having, pushing for second place and definitely getting European football. So, it's a great season that Morgan Gibbs-White and his team are having. But this is what we really deem a Kevin De Bruyne replacement. This guy's probably going to cost us about 80 million, by the way. I know it says 50 there, but he's English, okay, which instantly boosts the price. Forest have just had, their best season in years, which, they're going to want to keep hold of players like Gibbs-White, for European games. They're going to want to keep a hold of him. As well as any other star players. They've got like Aina at right back as well. And hey, maybe they're content with Chris Wood too. So look, they're absolutely going to want to keep a hold of Gibbs-White, which means we're probably going to have to pay more than we'd want to anyway. For me, if you're willing to pay probably 80 million for Gibbs-White, including add-ons maybe, you should be willing to fork over 100 at least for Florian Wirtz. You should be. Because, look, again, 5 goals, 9 assists. Not bad numbers by any stretch of your imagination. I am curious about what De Bruyne's stats are, though. So, 5 goals, 9 assists, remember, for him. De Bruyne is on 2 goals, 6 assists in nowhere near as many of the minutes. FYI, and if we go off these numbers too, he's not too far off him. He's only a few goal contributions away from him. I don't think Gibbs-White is what I would call a Kevin De Bruyne replacement. Don't get me wrong, maybe this guy could come in as like a squad player. He could be that guy that comes on for our KDB replacement, but he is not the KDB replacement. I can't see it personally. I really can't. I can't see this guy coming in and being that creative outlet that we've had for 10 years. Of course, it's hard to replicate that. And that's why you have to go for the best. And Florian Wirtz resembles that entirely, He's just picked up an injury, so he hasn't picked up any goal contributions recently or games. But he's having an absolutely great season, just like he did last season with his side. Almost getting double digits in both respects here, with 15 goals and 13 assists, pitching in both areas, That's more assists and more goals than any of our players have got, apart from Haaland, in terms of the goals. This guy is generational. He's 22 this year. That's 3 years younger than Gibbs-White. Not that being 25 is bad, but it's longevity. Gibbs-White, he can be out for another 10 years. Well, it's Wirtz, 10 years, 32. Man, depending on how he's feeling, he'd probably go even for a smidge more. De Bruyne is like 33, 34 this year, so he'd probably go on for a little bit longer if he so wished. But the point is that he comes in and he is a creative outlet. He's going to cost you a pretty penny. There is no doubt about that. Okay, but that should be the standard for replacing someone of Kevin De Bruyne's stature. When we signed Kevin De Bruyne, I'm pretty sure we broke I'm pretty sure De Bruyne was like the second most expensive signing in Premier League history at the time. And he became our most expensive signing in our history. Florian Wirtz, we have to be willing. We have to be willing to go the mile for him. Wirtz doesn't get a lot of injuries. He's injured right now, but he doesn't pick up a lot. He's also carrying a Leverkusen team that isn't quite what it was last season. Instrumental last season, etc. Yeah, exactly. Florian Wirtz is... he's taken last season and he's continued the stride that he was on. Leverkusen have dropped, I believe, in terms of league play, but look, he's not even too far off this 38 GNA from last season. He's only 10 goal contributions away in a season where the whole team isn't quite performing to where they can be, but he is performing because he just seems to be that guy this season for Leverkusen, just like he was last season, almost hitting 40 goal contributions. To sign Wirtz, you have to break records, and to sign De Bruyne, we had to break records in terms of transfer fees and all that. That's breaking records is what you get. You get brilliance if you just break your budget. Now then, you could argue, it's not the case for everyone. You broke the bank on Jack Grealish, and he hasn't put out these numbers. Jack Grealish never did put out these numbers, though, to be fair to him. I know there's always the, Real Madrid paid tons of money for Eden Hazard, okay? There is always that risk that it doesn't work out. But you have to take that gamble, You have to. The season before that, Wirtz was already playing fine. Yeah, I mean, we can go 22-23. Okay, he did pick up a cruciate ligament injury, to be fair to him. But still, even getting 12 GNA in a season where he would have been recovering a lot from picking up an injury. And look, when you look at this period here, not too bad for a player that has come back from a cruciate ligament injury. And look at the strengths he's gone to after that, just smashing it in every respect. We need to break records on record breakers, not above average players. Yes, there you go. I think this is big. Florian Wirtz, if he doesn't come to us, he'll go to Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. That's the thing you've got to look at here. If he doesn't come to us, he's going to a different world beater. For me, the stars are aligned for Wirtz at Man City. Okay, the stars are ready to be aligned. City have just got to move them into those aligned spots, those spots that are ready to be taken. Everything is set up for this guy to join City. He comes in and he instantly becomes a star in the side in terms of being that big player. Give him that free role. You got to give him the trust from the get-go for me. Give him a preseason. We need to be working on this deal right now in the background. Talking to agents, swaying Wirtz. Because I'm sorry, but if City go into this deal and offer anything less than 100 million, we need to screw our head back on. Because that is not how we should be operating. We should know that this guy's going to cost a minimum of 100 mil. And 100 mil on a good day, by the way, 140 mil on here. We're probably going to have to throw in a player in there. McAtee is the guy we should throw in. But it's beyond the point, okay? He's going to cost tons of money. But I'm sure we'll circle back to Florian Wirtz. I'm going to continue back over to Twitter. Now then, Breaking: City plan to extend Divin Mukas's contract to keep the 17-year-old at the club amid interest from Bayern Munich and Ajax. The midfielder has 17 goals, 25 assists, and 35 appearances. That is 42 GNA. Quite incredible, really, to be fair. Those are some crazy numbers. And I wouldn't mind seeing this guy get integrated into the first team at some point. Rico Lewis was 17 when he got into the first team for the first time. Hopefully in pre-season he gets some minutes, and maybe even next season in general he'll get in there, because this guy does seem to be top class. It'd be nice to just see him given a chance, but I mean, we know what City are like when it comes to giving academy players a chance. We are very can't quite put my finger on the word. That's just talking about De Bruyne's next location. Looking likely it's going to be MLS. Now then, Liam Delap. Where was that? Here we go. Oh, yeah. City have got a buyback clause of 40 million for Delap, however, unlikely to re-sign. City have also inserted 20% sell-on clause for Ipswich, and Man United have made Delap their number one target striker this month. I mean, it kind of sucked to see Delap go to United, but I mean, we will benefit ultimately. Now then, in terms of how much Delap is going to cost, Ipswich will want to make more than we will offer, because we have a 40 million buyback. I think they're going to want to try and make more than that for Liam Delap. I think they're going to try and push for 50, to be honest. I think they're going to want 50 million for this guy, despite him being a player that's getting relegated. Now then, you might think, a player's getting relegated, 50 million, ridiculous. I'm pretty sure Chelsea signed Romeo Lavia, and he just got relegated to Southampton at the time. I'm pretty sure they signed him for like 60. If you allow me to double check. Yeah, 62 million euros they signed him for. Compared to Southampton, who bought him for 22 million. So midfield next season, if I get to do as I like, Wirtz, Foden, Echeverry, Cams, O'Reilly, Kovacic 8, and Gonzalez 6 to 8 hybrid. Rodri 6 and Morgan Rogers as a winger / midfielder hybrid. Man, Morgan Rogers' return would be interesting. I wonder if he'd take it, because I actually did see something about that. Nothing concrete, but I did see like the potential return for him. I mean, I'm glad that in his interview there didn't really seem to be any bad blood, because he's absolutely smashed it at Villa since joining them. I'm curious how much he even signed for. But this season, 13 goals, 11 assists, 24 goal contributions, a very good year for him. Premier League, he's got 15 GNA, 6 GNA in the Champions League. Doesn't seem to be afraid of the big stage. He's got more Champions League goals than Grealish, and he's only played 10 games. And 3 GNA in 4 games in the Cup. So, I really rate Morgan Rogers. I think he looks a top player. Attacker midfield. But I believe he can play on wings and all that too. Click on there. He can play a bit of everything by the looks of it, but favourite position seems to be the 20 and 24. It seems to be the Cam with 24 matches, where it looks like he gets the most joy out from too, but it doesn't look like he's completely useless in other areas either. Hasn't really done anything in those areas, but 4 GNA off the left, 5 GNA off the right, and 3 GNA off the left mid. He does output in both midfield and on wings. Check his stats / games. Yeah, I'm having a look now. No doubt this is his favourite area, and maybe having a versatile player like this is good though. Pep loves a versatile player, and I reckon Pep would look at this and be like, "Oh my lord, that's beautiful," because it's a player that can play off the left, it's a player that can play off the right, it's a player that can play in the cam, a player that can even drop a little bit deeper into the midfield, and a guy that, if it ever came to it, can play a striker, which it probably won't come to that, but you get the point. Now then, bad news about this. He would cost so much money. Villa are not going to sell this guy cheap, especially considering the position they are in football right now. They're in the quarterfinals of Champions League at the moment. If they qualify for Champions League this season as well, then they're laughing. They've got an FA Cup coming up, FA Cup tie coming up, which could seal a place in the Wembley final. Regardless of where you play him, he'll have output, which we need. I think that is crucial. If ever a player is out of form in a certain area, this guy can come in and perform in that area. It looks like. I think this would be an awesome move to see. Watching Rodgers return to the club. Don't think we've really seen that, as selling an academy player and then re-signing him. But, this wouldn't be a bad place to start. Arsenal won 3-0 yesterday. Yeah, I saw that. Apparently they absolutely dominated and deserved it. I saw Rice's free kick goal, by the way. That second free kick is mental. You don't get much more top corner than that. By the way, do you think we can get UCL football next season? We can. It just matter of if we will. The chance is there. I think we could get 5th. I don't think Chelsea are all that. I think Newcastle are probably going to qualify. Alright, let's have a look through here. Apparently Pep actually spoke to Arteta yesterday. Do I think Florian Wirtz will join City? Genuinely, lad, I ain't got a clue. I wish I could give you an answer. I'm going to say yeah, I think he will. But the honest answer is I have no idea. Hopefully Real Madrid makes a comeback in the second leg. That'd be crazy scenes, wouldn't it? We only need to sign 2 midfielders, assuming Wirtz 100 mil plus trade Ortega and McAtee. Then Morgan Rogers 70 million. That midfield is sorted for the next 5 years with only 170 million. I hope he will. Yeah. Emphasize on the hope bit. It's not going to be easy. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's not bad because midfield doesn't need tons of work. It's mainly injuries that have come in, and players having to play certain areas that have made our squad the way it is this season. If Rodri is here, our midfield would feel so much different this season. Okay, the holes would still be there, and I think we'd probably still be calling out some things, but if Rodri was here, it wouldn't be anywhere near as bad. But I think the fact that those injuries and those issues are here, it gives us an opportunity to really look at where those issues are and remove them, which is a good thing. And so, yeah, I think only really signing 1 or 2 players is necessary, to be fair. I think we should be aiming to bring in about 5 or 6 players in the summer, hopefully. That'd be nice. Let's be honest, we have dropped a lot of points due to Pep doing weird things in midfield, and they didn't need to. Yeah, I think playing the Bernardo Gundo pivot is something that he seems to be obsessed with at times. He's threw in ancient midfields recently, against United. He had an absolutely stinky midfield. So, yeah, some weird decisions have been made. But I'm going to circle back to this real quick. I do not want to see Gibbs-White be our Kevin De Bruyne replacement. This is literally an example of what you said before. Break records to sign record-breaking players, not above-average players. Gibbs-White, I guarantee you this, he will not. He could come in and maybe be a solid player, and he could probably emanate getting these numbers and maybe even improve upon them. But he will never produce Kevin De Bruyne numbers. Kevin De Bruyne numbers are uncanny numbers, and you can spot them a mile away, just like you can with Florian Wirtz. you could probably find a few players that do similar numbers to this guy. In all respect to Gibbs-White, I do rate Gibbs-White. I'm not a Gibbs-White hater. I'm not 100% against him joining the club. If he joined, I wouldn't party, but I wouldn't cry about it either. So it's the same reason why I don't want Eze. Eze is 26, a player we tend to get linked to. He's got more goal contributions than Gibbs-White this season. Doesn't mean I want to see it happen. He's on 17 GNA. That's 3 more GNA than Gibbs-White. But I don't want to see this either, because he's not like a crazy talented. He is a good talent, but he's not De Bruyne level, which is what we need. We can't settle for anything lower. We can't settle for second fiddle. We've got to put everything in to get him Wirtz. Only accept us not getting him if he just genuinely puts his foot down. It's like, I don't want to join you. I never want to join you. There is no amount of money you can offer me. There is nothing you can do to make me want to play in blue for you. And sometimes it can come down to that. And there's nothing we can do. But we got to try every other option before that. I'm pretty sure there's some news a bit higher up on City Extra's Twitter. So, again, another player that tends to get linked to us, Giménez on City's radar as the player pleases Pep. After De Bruyne's exit, City are now mobilising and have shown interest in some names, including the Brazilian, but have not opened negotiations. For me, it's not the right profile. I kind of want this guy to be the guy that plays alongside Rodri in the summer. Like 2 really solid pivot guys that can go forward and help each other out in all respects. I don't see him as a cam and a super creative player. Don't get me wrong, very good player, and he produced some really good numbers not too long ago. I could just have a look at them now. Bruyne Giménez. This season he's on 11 goal contributions, which isn't brilliant. But last season, and bear in mind where he plays, DM. 11 goal contributions ain't even bad for a DM, by the way. Got 17 goal contributions for DM. So look, for me, I'm really not concerned about this guy's talent. And if you wanted him in the DM, it's fine. But we have Nico G now, so I don't really think there's a need for him. You seen the thing about direwolves? Brought back, right? I don't know a lot about it, so please don't question me too much on it. But they were extinct, but now they're back, right? They're back, right? They got like unextincted. I don't know what the word is to like revert something from being extinct, but they're no longer extinct is what I'm trying to say. I don't know what it's all about. If it's all legit and all that, great stuff. I mean, they look pretty cool, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, it's probably a breakthrough in terms of science and all that. Bringing back the direwolf. Yeah, but fair play. If they genuinely like brought this guy back, like brought this breed back, like for like, then fair play. Can't be knocked. You'd call it revived. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Some scientists thought it would be a good idea to bring back and to bring back a 10,000-year extinct species to prove they can. You'd call it a revived species. Yeah, I mean, scientifically, I mean, it's a great breakthrough. Is it like a good thing? I don't really know. I don't don't really know the situation. I mean, if you're in science and all that, then yeah, this is huge. Yeah, this is actually huge. I mean, they look pretty cool. We've had this technology from a while, from what I understand. We've just never had anyone to put in the money and get it done. Well, I mean, the fact that they've done it now probably means someone's going to put a bit more money into it because they're like, oh, wow, this actually worked. Okay, gonna fund you guys now. So, I mean, hey, fair play to them. I imagine that's a huge achievement. I don't know much about the science world, but yeah, fair play. That is crazy stuff. Anyhow, I made this stream off topic. Sorry. Oh, don't worry about it, mate. I'm absolutely fine with off topic comments. To at least a certain level, and yeah, I'm absolutely fine with talking about direwolves too. It's absolutely fine. In terms of other transfer news, I'm not really sure if I can find anything else. I'm gonna try and have a quick scroll on Twitter, see if there is anything. 25-26 Premier League tickets have been frozen for Man City. I'm hoping that is all just a good thing, because I know frozen means like they don't change. But does that mean it's only frozen for that next season? Any transfer news on a fullback? Oh God, I'll have a look, lad. Gosh, it's all Kevin De Bruyne related at the moment because he's just left, and so journalists are throwing names left and right to try and get the scoop, you know. But no, it's all just Kevin De Bruyne talk at the moment, and who his successor will be, to be honest with you. Yeah. I mean, here's some fullback news. Kyle Walker, on loan at AC Milan, has undergone surgery on his fractured elbow. That's all I've got. Also, just seen this. Do not do this. Do not take the gamble on this. I love Phil Foden, okay, and I'm back, and I still back him, okay. It's been a poor season, okay, especially for him considering last season he had, okay. But we cannot put our eggs into the basket of Phil Foden, who has just had a poor season. Don't get me wrong, Phil Foden had replicated what he did last season and did it this season. I'd be a bit more on board, but even last season, Phil Foden was a very creative outlet. That still went with De Bruyne, who got most assists last season, despite playing less than half of it. We do not go for this. Florian Wirtz is a creative player. We gotta go for Wirtz in this area. I'm sorry. I mean, this isn't even too bad of a system we could run with, you know. I don't know. I don't know what I think about this area. I don't really know if we'll go for Shirky. I don't think wingers are a priority right now. But I don't think we need Eze. Man, how much money is this guy intending to spend? Bar's already one of us. Atubolu, is he one of us? I don't think he is. Cambiasso. So what? Cambiasso would be 50. This guy's probably going to be like 60 because he's like a young centre back. So that's 110. I have no idea who this is. I'm not going to try and calculate that. Yildiz is like, he's like pretty young. He's doing pretty good work, right? Man, this guy, I want to know who this guy's source is. Rodgers has another 70. Yildiz, I'm going to guess that's a minimum 50. Wow, this guy, he's ready to sign everyone and anyone. Yeah, that's really everything I've got for you at the moment. Big up for Divin Mubama, by the way, who scored a 96-minute equaliser to keep City Academy top of the table. With only one game to go, 2 points clear of tonight's opponents. Huge big game moment. But look, that's really all I've got of transfer news. I wish there was more, trust me. But Gibbs-White or Florian Wirtz is what it's looking like at the moment. Or potential of neither, and sticking with Phil Foden for that role. Go for Florian Wirtz, that's all I'm saying. Big ups to you all. I'm back later on Connect Gaming if you want to watch me over there. I'm doing another Doom Eternal stream. Doom Eternal has come to an end soon on the channel because, well, I believe we'll get to the end of that series. But yeah, if you want to tune in there, feel free to. We'll get a fullback at some point, I believe. Yes. Please, that's right. An actual fullback, not a centre back turned fullback, not a midfielder turned fullback. A fullback. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the support, as per usual. Have a great night, everyone.